I'm Aaron Jackson, and I'm the sports editor at the East Carolinian.
I'm Ty Gavin, the copy editor.
I'm Chase Carroll, sports chief.
I'm Rob Romero, baseball reporter.
I'm Daniel Roberts, baseball reporter.
This is TECsperts.
Today, we will recap the UNC series win, the ODU victory, the Clark-LeClaire Classic this weekend, and all the games over spring break. Before I get to everybody else, Robert, you were in attendance for every game in the UNC series. Talk about the atmosphere that you saw throughout it.
Well, the atmosphere was absolutely sensational. In the first game, I mean, obviously the big draw that brought everybody in was the fact that UNC was coming to town, and it was on a Friday night, so it was a Friday evening. So it was a perfect opportunity for Pirate fans to come out and actually see their team. And the atmosphere was just sensational. I mean, place was loud, it was electric, and what was great is that the team was feeded right off that. I mean, they were fiery on the mound, they didn't miss, and it actually showed the Pirate fans that they're a really good baseball team.
And how about you, Tyler? What did you see in this series?
I saw the third largest crowd in Clark-LeClaire Stadium on Friday. Not being the baseball reporter, I actually got to go as a fan and standing out in left field. I may have been a part of it, I may not have been, but some of those fans, they were really hard heckling, man. That gave Trey Benton such fire on the mound, like Robert was saying. The outfielders got our support in the fan section. I think that really drove them through Friday. You drop one on Saturday, but then you bounce right back on Sunday. I just saw a resilient team.
And not everyone predicted ECU would win the series 2-1 like Robert, Tyler, and I. Chase and Daniel both had UNC winning the series 2-1. What did ECU do different to prove your guess wrong?
Well, we came into the series saying if ECU was going to win the series, it was going to come down to pitching. And that's really what it came down to in both games 1 and 3 of the series. ECU dominated from the mound. And we saw sophomores Trey Benton and Tyler Smith combine to give up just 2 hits and strike out 13 batters game 1. And given that kind of pitching stat, you're not going to win many games against that. You saw Chris Holba come out here in game 3, of the series, and throw 7 shutout innings, which
no hit.
Yeah, they won that game 12-0 behind really dominant pitching, and that's what really set the tone for the Pirates and got them the win.
At this point in the season, the Pirates are off to a hot start. Are road games really a factor at this point, or is it just another game?
You see, road games will factor on later on the season. I don't feel like for this series in particular it really played a factor, considering there were a lot of ECU fans that did make the trip to UNC to see this high-powered matchup between 2 great programs. But as we see later on down the road, I think conference play, we may see some road factor, considering a lot of teams in the AAC are far away. It'll impact them. Travel becomes a big part of it. So later on, I feel like it will play a part.
And like you were saying, the AAC is they're spread out, and baseball has kind of become the American sport. You have UCF doing what they did in football this year. Congratulations to them. You have Wichita State and Cincinnati doing what they're doing in basketball. But every team in the American thinks they have a chance to go into Omaha and kind of make a run. And I think that, like you said, that's when it'll make a difference. But going to Durham, Robert could probably test this more than I can. It was probably pretty split.
It was pretty split, and it was interesting because I was speaking to them. They thought the environment itself was crazy because they're on a stage. Because Durham Bowl Stadium is a AAA stadium, so as big a stage as a college team can get in that stage. And they had, I wouldn't say they played. They played poor in the first 4 innings, but that was because of jitters, excitement, the fact they're on that stage, and then they really settled in. And they really they had an opportunity to win the game. That's all that matters at that point. And they really showed that. So when it comes down to playing on the road further down the season, I think they'll be prepared for it.
Back at home, ECU faced ODU in the weekday clash, and they came out with the victory Wednesday night, 10-3. Are the Pirates running up the score just because the defense is allowing them to, or are they just better than everybody else they face?
I mean, I guess it's a little bit of both. Their offense is more dominant than what the teams they've played have shown, and they're putting up runs on these teams, but that's what you have to do in baseball. You can't just sit back and rely on a few runs in this game, because the other team can come out and put on 10 runs in an inning and beat you. You never know.
Absolutely.
So you got to pour it on as much as you can until final pitch.
The Pirates had a terrible record last season in one-run games, so I think Cliff Godwin made it a huge factor that once you get a team down, just step on their throat, keep scoring as many times as you can, because like you said, you never know what's going to happen in those latter innings. You got a young bullpen, they can blow it at any time, even though they looked great so far. I think that the competition has been subpar so far, other than UNC, and you saw two really close games, and then, UNC kind of fell apart on Sunday, but we'll see with the Charleston and the Charlotte games coming up what really happens.
Well, what you see every time they step up, they're very aggressive and also very disciplined at the plate. They don't swing at a lot of bad pitches. Whenever it's a good pitch, if it's a 3-1 count, they don't try to take it. They try to go after it because they know the next pitch is most likely going to be a hitter's pitch. And they don't strike out a lot. They make contact with the ball a lot. They put the ball in play, and that gives them a lot of opportunities. When the defense have to keep moving around, it gives them a lot of opportunities to score.
Talking about that discipline, the Pirates have 40 walks, and the Pirate pitchers have only allowed 24, so it kind of shows the discrepancy there.
Yes, and that is a big difference with the ECU Pirates when they go up to face these teams. Now, when we talk about hitting, one person that you could argue that is the MVP this season so far would be sophomore infielder Spencer Brickhouse. He's had 9 hits, 11 RBIs, and 3 home runs in this season so far. Who else has been dominant in these games?
As you said, he has been a big part of this ECU offense. However, if I were to give an offensive MVP so far this season, I would have to give it to third baseman Connor Litton. He leads the team in hits with 14, and he also leads the team with walks. So he's getting on base, leads the team in on-base percentage, and not only that, he's batting .467, second on the team. So he's getting on base, he's scoring runs. He has 7 runs to show for this season. So really, I feel like if anyone would be offensive MVP this season, it would have to go to Connor Litton.
Well, I would agree with you. I will play devil's advocate. I'll defend Spencer. He looks like a monster at the plate. He's got 3 home runs again, and he hits the huge one in Game 2 to bring the Pirates back in after they're down, 3-0? He hits the 3-run home run, they tie, or they go up 4-3. 4-3 at that point. Yeah. So while the 11 RBIs looks nice, 3 of them are him. The 3 home runs are all 3-run home runs, so that's 9 RBIs right there. So he's only got 2 in other areas, but when he gets to the plate, the pitcher is on full watch. They know that you have to pitch this guy because Connor Litton's coming up right after him. They provide great protection for each other.
It's just great. It's just great having this conversation because there's so many hitters that can be deemed the MVP of the starting line from top to bottom. They're really hard to pitch. And Spencer's he's the perfect power hitter. Every time it comes up, you think he's going to hit one out because of his swing is just so deadly. But if I had to pick MVP, I would probably have to agree with going Carlin. Although Brady Lloyd has been doing a great job getting on base, just tied for second on the team, tied for third on the team on base percentage. He gets on base a lot. He's batting 500. It's only 18 at bats. So he's been doing a great job too. All of them are. So is Brian Packard, had hit in the 2-run bomb last night. So
the interesting with Brady Lloyd is that he only has 9 hits, only has the 18 at bats, which I'm saying only that's 500. He has 9 runs, even though he only has 9 hits. When he gets on base, he's taking advantage. He's moving up on bases. He's a smart base runner, and Godwin's aggressive, sending everyone around.
Now to switch up gears and talk about predictions, this week in the LeClaire Classic, ECU plays Pepperdine University, Missouri State University, and on the last day, St. Joseph University. What are y'all predictions and why?
ECU should easily sweep through these 3 teams, given the competition they face. Pepperdine is just 3-6 this year, and St. Joseph's is just 1-3. You see a Missouri State team that is 4-2. However, they haven't really played anyone spectacular this season, so that record doesn't mean much to me. However, these are 3 teams ECU should come out here and easily take care of before they face a tough College of Charleston team in their next matchups. But really, they have the dominant pitching to take care of these teams.
I think that, like you said, the pitching is going to play a huge role. None of the teams coming to Clark LeClaire are going to bring the offense that's needed to beat the Pirates. Pepperdine's only averaging 2 runs. Missouri State's averaging 5 runs, which sounds nice, but the Pirates are averaging around 8. And like Chase said, Missouri State really hasn't played the greatest opponents yet so far. I expect Jake Agnos on Saturday to come out fully rested, fully prepared after what happened on Saturday. What happened 2 Saturdays ago, he hasn't gotten off to the greatest start. I think it'll be a great test here because someone talked about in the paper that it's going to be spring break. The fans might not be out here, but I don't think Cliff Godwin wants them to start relaxing yet.
I'm going to play devil's advocate and say that they're going to drop against Missouri State simply because I just think it's not because I think that they can't beat all three. It's because I think there will be a time when they're gonna start play a little bit less of the competition. Even though Missouri State has been solid, but I just think that it's going to come to a point, not because I don't think Godwin has them ready or they're not ready. I just think maybe with the fact that spring break's approaching, the fact that maybe they're just getting a little too into themselves a little bit. It's not that I think that they will. I just think it will happen eventually, and when it does, Godwin will get right on that, and then he'll fix it right there. But
So do you think Jake will struggle again on Saturday?
I do because I think he still needs to get used to more of the pitching. I think obviously he can prove me wrong third, and on upcoming on Saturday and get over the last two starts. But I think in a way, he still needs more time to get his command right and to find the strike zone because Godwin said he's just a little too excited out there. So I could be proven wrong, but we'll have to see it.
For me, I believe that ECU will sweep in the LeClaire Classic this weekend, and I agree with Chase all the way that there's not much really competition in those other three teams that they've faced to put up with ECU. Now, over the break, the College of Charleston will be coming to Greenville to face ECU in a 2-game series, while UNC will be hosting ECU in a 3-game series in Charlotte. What are your outcomes for those two series?
So, as I mentioned before, they did face this Charleston team 2 times last season, and they gave up 22 runs combined in those 2 games. So this Charleston team has proven that they have the offensive capabilities. However, they are also 7-2 this season, so they are probably the second best team that the Pirates have faced this year. However, I do think ECU will take care of them in one of the games, but I do think they'll drop the other game. As for UNC Charlotte, we did see us fall to them in a pitching duel last season, 2-0 game. I feel like this season the Pirates, this is a whole new year. So UNC Charlotte stands at 4-4 this season. They're beating the teams that they should, but they're losing the games that they should also lose. So ECU is a team that should beat this team 3 times, in my opinion, and I think they will.
I think you make great points with Charleston. Last year it was a complete slugfest. What did you say, 22 runs to Charleston? Yeah. Well, ECU won both games. The teams combined for 46 runs in 2 games. So both teams hit. Charleston, can still hit. They scored 48 runs already in 9 games, but they haven't played on the road yet. They're 0-0 on the road. They haven't played outside of Charleston. So coming to Greenville, even if the stadium isn't fully packed because of spring break, I think them going on the road will be enough for them to kind of slow down, and I think the ECU pitching is a little bit better than they were at this time last year. I think they'll be able to steal both games there, and then like you said, Charlotte is struggling this year. It's really the first true road series for the Pirates. I think that kind of wakes them up. You know that it's an in-state team. It's not just a 1-game series, it's a 3-game series. I expect the weekend starters to figure out what they're doing in the LeClaire Classic, carry it over to next weekend, and I got them going 5-0 there, 8-0 for the break.
Once again, I have them at 3-2, losing 1 against Charlotte and 1 against Charleston. It was interesting seeing Godwin in place of Kuzmanner in the lineup last night, just trying to get somebody in the bullpen who struggled early, last week in this time, but really gave him an opportunity to really showcase. I think he might not know, because we don't know who he's going to go with in these 2 games. Maybe the pitchers will struggle, whether it's either maybe Barnes, Colmore covers, or
I expect Tyler Smith to probably start one of the games against Charleston.
And that's probably one game I would expect them to win. And then against Charlotte, I would say I think Charlotte will have a little bit of just 1-game edge of just being fired, because I think they're a team who wants to try to prove themselves. I think they're going to try very hard just to get 1 win.
I agree with Tyler and Chase that ECU will defeat the College of Charleston like they did last year. And it won't be thanks to just the hitting. It'll be thanks to the defense as well. And I think they will hold them under 22 runs that they scored last year. And after they get out of that, they'll be traveling to Charlotte. And they're 2-1 in road games this year. So they've lost a game on the road, and I expect them to lose 1 more game over break just before they come back to school. That's it for TECsperts this week. Join us when we come back after break. Thank you for watching.